Hey everybody, great to be learning with you as we take a closer look today at the laws of chametz, part of our Spotlight series on the laws of Pesach. By the end of today's lesson, you'll have a sharper understanding of what chametz actually is and is not, and you'll also be familiar with a specific word used by the Torah to instruct us to remove chametz from our possession on Pesach. If you took a random poll of people on the street and asked them, what is chametz? I bet they'd come back with this answer. The truth is, though, chametz is more than just bread. Chametz refers more specifically to any bread product formed from one of the 5 grains, the chameshet mine dagan, the 5 primary grains from which most of our bread products are made. And those 5 grains are barley, rye, oat, wheat, and spelt. Here's a nifty way to remember those 5 grains. Barley, rye, oat, wheat, and spelt form the acronym BROWSE. You browse your way through the 5 grains that are not allowed to be eaten on Pesach, and you'll always be familiar with the specific grains from which chametz is made. So now you have your 5 grains, and you turn those 5 grains into flour. If water is mixed with flour from any of the 5 grains, barley, rye, oat, wheat, and spelt, it turns into a substance known as se'or, or dough. And this dough-like substance has the potential to become chametz. It's not necessarily chametz yet. There's one more factor that we have to look at, and that is the factor of time. If this dough-like substance, this se'or, is allowed to leaven for 18 minutes to rise, then that dough has now officially reached a status of chametz and may not be consumed at all, even in any amount, on Pesach. It's important to note, however, that this 18-minute countdown only begins once a person stops working the dough, stops kneading the dough. As long as your hands are on it and you're working the dough into some shape or size, the 18 minutes do not begin. They only begin once you leave it alone. So to review, the definition of chametz is any of the 5 major grains mixed with water and allowed to leaven unattended for 18 minutes. Well, that's a definition of chametz. What about the Torah's call to remove chametz from our possession? Here the Torah uses a very specific word to instruct us on how to remove chametz from our midst before Pesach actually begins. The Torah tells us, Shivat yamim matzot tochelu, for 7 days a person should eat matzah. However, by Yom HaRishon, by the first day of Pesach, on the 15th of Nisan, tashbitu se'or mibatechem. And that word tashbitu tells us to remove chametz from our possession. Now, how we actually do that and why we actually do that is going to be something that we explore some more in class. The mitzvah of tashbitu, however, must occur b'yom harishon, by the time that the first day of Pesach has begun. The first day of Pesach is the 15th of Nisan, which means that by the 14th of Nisan, your chametz must have already been put into the category of tashbitu. But how we actually do that and why we actually do that, especially in modern day times, is subject to some discussion, and that is something that we're going to look at more closely together when we return to class. So today you had a chance to get a basic understanding of what chametz is and what chametz is not, and what the Torah tells us to do with chametz, tashbitu. In class we'll go a little bit deeper and explore this in some more detail with some hands-on examples, but for now, that's a basic introduction to chametz. Looking forward to continuing the conversation with you and going deeper into our learning targets when we return.